Hi, I'd like to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order. It's Thursday, July 11th. This meeting will be in person and is being recorded. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, we have a jam-packed agenda, Gary.
So, thank you, Janine. What we, as you know, at town meeting, we had a series of transfers. This was one that we didn't have all the information for because if you're aware that the school gets paid a one lump sum payment for the teachers and staff that work through the summer, they get one check. So the amount that we budgeted in fiscal '24 for the payroll tax, which we're obligated to pay, wasn't enough because the payroll was larger than expected. So we do have the funds to cover this. So this would be a transfer from the group insurance account to the Medicare payroll tax account, which we're obligated to pay.
All right, so I have a question.
Yes.
Why was it more than anticipated? What happened?
There could have been, it could have been higher salaries that were initiated. It could have been more teachers that were on than that was initiated. So when we budget, I think I flatlined the budget, and I have to look at the amount, but we were short. We're actually short around 65,000, but we asked for an additional 5,000 because there was still transactions that were going on before the end of the fiscal year. Because technically, we don't close the books until July 15th. We're allowed to close the books for fiscal '24 on July 15th. So it could have been a number of things: salary increases, which increased the payroll. And items like that would increase the payroll, which in turn increases the payroll tax that we owe.
So when did you figure out what the amount was going to be and finally this other situation impacted it?
May, June timeframe.
May, June timeframe?
Right after town meeting. We would have had this prepared.
After town meeting.
We would have had this prepared for town meeting, but we didn't have the most up-to-date number. What was needed in the account.
Okay.
Any other questions? Does somebody want to make a motion to request this transfer?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Okay.
Okay, we just have to sign.
Can I sign
Yeah.
that?
And then also, Bob isn't here right now, but he wanted me to put on the agenda just preliminary discussion for fall town meeting. As I'll start, I had a really good conversation with the superintendent of schools, Dr. Saban McGuire, in my office, and it was really something else that she was coming to my office to talk about, but we ended up talking about the budget process. And I was assured this year that they are going to start the process early, as they did last year, but they're also going to have regularly scheduled budget meetings with the committee. So, and keep.
With the school committee.
With the school committee, and keep them up to date on what the budget looks like, maybe in quarters, monthly. And I, at one of the department meetings, I also told Jim that, I do want to be, obviously, we're going to be involved in that heavily this year, as we may see that some of the funds, the one-time revenues that they were using, really aren't there anymore to a certain extent that they used in this year's budget.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just happy that they're being proactive to meet regularly and earlier this year.
May I ask? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, you.
I was just going to ask, wanted to be meeting with them on a regular basis. We started these meetings back, last spring, folks? And nothing really materialized. And I hope, we could be joining them at some point in time, so we're all on the same page come next year's deliberations when we talk about their budget and what we can afford to pay and what we can't afford to pay.
Yeah, I know that last year we talked about, and I'm still convinced that we need some form of this, the Budget Advisory Group. I think that we need to have members of the Finance Committee, the School Committee, not a full one-on-one with the Select Board, and maybe a member of the Select Board that can sit down in a smaller group and talk about the budget going forward. I think it's useful. I know other towns that have used it, and it's more, it's not so pressurized as being in a big room and having to juggle all these pieces. It can be done earlier on in the budget process. I think that's.
Did they discuss the frequency of these subgroup budget meetings or whatever?
I think they're gonna be at the actual, committee meetings, school committee meetings, and I think it's gonna be maybe every month that they do this. I can
So
check
they're
on the
gonna
frequency.
have a subgroup report and then
Correct.
to the school committee
Yes.
on a monthly basis,
Yep.
but the subgroup is gonna be meeting more regularly?
I'm not sure on their schedule, but I know that, it's gonna be more frequently now with the school committee, I believe.
And this subgroup that they're putting together is members of the school committee?
Correct, and I believe there's also two members of the finance committee too, isn't there, on that? Or a member
So
of the finance?
I've talked to people, I'm doing the strategic planning with them, and there is a meeting scheduled on August 5th from 3:30 to 5:30. And in the past, the people who have attended, because it's not a finance committee meeting in terms of posting for
Sorry,
it.
what was the date again?
August the 5th.
August 5th,
August
3:30 to 5:30.
August 5th, 3:30, and it would be at the, I believe it will be at the school building, but
Oh,
we,
Bush Street.
School administration?
8 Bush Street, but we should double check that.
I'm sorry, I should,
But they, at the school committee meeting in the spring, they talked about having monthly meetings, and the people who have attended that meeting have been in the past, and I agree, they weren't the most productive meetings, but we had the liaisons from the finance committee there, so that could continue. There were, I think there's a lot of finance committee liaisons to the school department. I know people are concerned, but
I had
There's
a,
only two of you, right?
I think there's 4.
well, I signed up for a while, but then I was told that I wasn't particularly needed, so.
Yeah, and I offered, because Carrie Parsons is interested in doing that, and I would be fine with her taking over my role. But that can be discussed, we can discuss it today. I know Bob wants to be involved in those meetings, so.
Well, my reaction, I mean, it's fine, not that anybody should even care about my reaction, but I have run large budgets, and meeting once a month for a $60 million budget, I don't know. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I know that as far as the frequency is concerned, I'm not sure how many times the school committee meets in its regular session. I don't know if it's 2 times a month.
I think it's about,
Yeah, and I think they're gonna give them much more regular updates, but also discussion with me, as far as like with Jim, on an ongoing basis, could be more frequently
Yeah.
done. But I still think that there's some value into having a budget advisory group.
Oh, I think so.
Oh, I do too.
You mean in terms of having,
School department, the administration,
Right.
a member of the finance committee, a member of the select board.
that meets on a regular basis,
Yeah.
in addition to whatever the subgroup
Right.
within the school committee is?
Right, because if you remember the long-term capital planning committee, I think that when we were thinking about this last year, it was supposed to run parallel with what we were doing in town. And I think somehow maybe the budget advisory group was maybe left off.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important to maybe
It was
reestablish.
left on.
I agree.
I do agree that there should be more meetings, of course, but I think my concern is with what happened last year, and I don't know which meeting, I mean, it was subcommittees and whatever, but those groups, those meetings, they weren't recorded, they weren't documented well, so the rest of us were left out of the loop to know what went on, aside from some side conversations. So would these subcommittee meetings be recorded?
Well,
I doubt it. It would mean having DCTV go there and bring a camera.
Because otherwise, the information doesn't get to everyone who needs to hear it.
oh,
I think it
refresh my
comes,
memory, Brian. When we were there with them, was there somebody taking minute?
No. Well, certainly Dartmouth TV was not there.
No, was anybody from
No,
the school
nobody-
department taking
No,
minutes?
nor were
We
we.
weren't either.
No.
But I thought maybe they were. I know you weren't, but I
Well, they
thought
weren't
were.
shared.
Well,
If
that
someone
might-
took notes, they weren't
Well,
public.
No, that's what I'm getting at, Ginny. I don't think that ever happened, so.
Well, that's my concern with this going forward. This sounds like there's going to be a lot of meetings, which is good, of course, and they should be reasonably frequent, but, you know, it's hard when you hear the information secondhand, thirdhand, it gets twisted and turned and
Sure.
becomes something else.
Well, I think that as far as having working groups, which I think the budget advisory group would be as a working group, the liaison group that they have that report back to the school committee, that should be, though obviously the school committee meetings are recorded, so that same information should be regurgitated in the school committee meeting. So maybe if you miss the working group meeting, you're gonna still get the same information at the school committee meeting, the job that we would hope.
Possibly, but
Right.
no guarantee.
Right, and the same thing with the budget advisory group. whether or not we record that, you would hope that if, when we come back to the full committee, that it's the same verbatim for what was been,
Or
had
at
been
least
discussed.
someone has to be conscientious with good notes. And I know we're very spoiled with notes, because look at our minutes.
To Janine's point, I think whoever the representatives from the Finance Committee, if people agree with you, and I do, that even though it's only a working committee, it's not an official committee, it's an important committee. We're
very.
talking about the largest budget in the town. And why not? It's very easy to get DCTV, to have the meeting here or somewhere where DCTV can film and record that meeting. It makes all the sense in the world to me to do that. And I think it's a very reasonable request to ask of the working committee. Just say, hey, you know, it's a working group, we're not official, but it's important. A lot of people are interested in what we're discussing. Let's have it filmed.
No,
Doesn't hurt to ask.
it's critical information, and it's going to be a critical budget year, so.
Well, I'll follow up with DCTV just to ask. I mean, maybe I'll talk to the superintendent too, and what he feels about those working groups and what they feel about, you know, putting them online.
Well, let her know how we feel too.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, and there could be others on the committee that may feel the same way, that she's not aware of.
But I do want to, this year, I do want to maybe start that budget advisory group and see what members we can get involved with that and maybe move that forward.
I would like
This
to be
year.
involved. But on the broader scope, capital as well as the operating budget.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so I think what I'll do is, we'll set up I'll talk to Melanie in the select board's office, and we'll see if we can set up some kind of subgroup. Call it the budget I call it the BAG, it's the budget advisory group, but, yeah, maybe we can
We
get
talked
that
about
going.
that way back when we were
Yeah.
first talking about long-term planning. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, we have a meeting tomorrow for long-term capital.
Yeah.
And I think I may mention it there, to see maybe if some of the members there want to be involved, maybe they don't, you know, and then we can go from there. But as far as like scheduling for the fall town meeting, I think what we'll probably end up doing initially is meeting with capital and having the capital requests come in. We're right now in the process of certifying free cash for fiscal '24. And we'll have a good number so we can move forward with capital requests. Now, as far as the long-term capital, we're meeting tomorrow and talk about maybe funding on some of these larger projects. Obviously, that's not gonna be with free cash, it'll have to be conventional borrowing, because those are larger projects. So we'll have a report, hopefully. What I kind of envision, and I think we've talked about this, is having something at some town meeting in the future, where we talk about these projects, you know, and I think that if you go back to what this town meeting, some of the members were asking for a full presentation on finance, you know, and wanting to see, just like we show here, state aid, and I mean, a lot of town meeting members, they're savvy enough to know what state is, but they don't see the trends, and they see the report, but they want to sometimes see that visually, you know, and I think that's maybe something we should work on for, and I don't mind delivering that for the Springtown meeting coming up.
I had some town meeting members come up to me and wanted to see a more detailed version of the school budget. They felt that it was too, you know, brief for how it was, for such a large budget with how it was presented to the town meeting.
Yeah, the school budget, they do put that budget online.
Say that.
Yeah.
I mentioned that.
So I'd like to bring up one other thing. In my opinion, the school budget, the chief question around it in terms of residents, town meeting members, people that are in the system, going to school, et cetera, people want to know, I think, what value for money they're receiving from the budget. Now, having said that, I think one of the first things this committee should do is define what value for money means for the different constituent groups, because there's retired people who have a different concept of value for money because they pay taxes. There are people inside of the system with kids. There are people who are, I don't know, for lack of a better term, middle-aged, who don't have any kids in the system, but they realize that education is important for the town. But to say, what does value for money mean for all those different subgroups? And then how can the school budget represent all those different groups and show that there is value for money for each of those different groups? And I think before we sit down and start talking about individual budget line items, I think defining the terms of what value for money means to the different subgroups in town would be very important, because that would drive your budget. And also would drive the metrics to prove that you're getting value for money
I
to
think-
each of those groups.
I think there also has to be a concern now about priorities. We all know what the big ticket items are that are coming up. You know, somebody has to start looking at what's more important than something else.
Yeah, I think the long-term capital that's where we're going in the next few meetings. We have the cost estimates, we have what we think the cost will be, and I think that maybe John had even said at one of the meetings that we're saying $100 million for a school, but that doesn't factor in inflation. I mean, if we're building a school in 10 years from now, it may not be $100 million, it may be, so we have to factor all those values in. But that's, I think, where we're focused right now, is what is the priority, and how do we bring that to town meeting and get it?
When you're talking
Standard.
about ranking, the best thing to do would be doing a cost-benefit analysis on each one of those projects and see what the benefits versus the costs are, and then rate them that way. I mean, I have issues with this new Pioneer Bridge, the connecting of Tucker Road to Hathaway. It's just a lot of things that are troubling to me. And again, a lot of it's gonna have to be depending on state aid. We can't finance it ourselves.
I mean, it almost takes, in my vision, my opinion, it almost takes like some kind of questionnaire that goes out to the public. And here are the projects, A, B, C, D, and E. What do you feel is the most important?
And here's the ration.
Quality of life,
cost-benefit.
the
Yeah.
public
Yeah,
safety, so on and so forth.
Right, because we've discussed, so you put the cost benefit out to, if it is a questionnaire, out to people, and let them come back and tell us. And then that'll cut the break in terms of what we do and what we don't do as a town, I think.
Yeah, most communities, before they go to, if they have multiple projects like we have lined up, they'll get a feel for what the residents want
Right.
as far as
Right.
spending.
It's good to hear from the residents, but I know that surveys that are done in the past, I don't like a 10% return
No, that's not a
on,
good- not-
on
not a
such
good-
the input of
Yeah,
such
right.
important projects. Because you can predict which groups would be most likely to answer the survey.
Well, my feeling on that was, we can't be the only town that has that problem. There's gotta be,
Oh, of course not.
there's gotta be other ways to get around that, so you get more of a return on whatever methods you use to measure what people want to have done.
Yeah, there's multiple ways of getting the survey out. I mean, I don't think you just use one means. It has to be multiple. It may be multiple times
Yeah.
before we actually say, okay, we're doing this before we do this.
Right, I
You know.
agree.
Right. But
So
that
that's-
does, yeah.
That's something I think we need to, tomorrow we'll start that process of discussing that.
What time
Town
is that
meeting is
just
the-
out of curiosity?
No, 10, is it
15th?
10 o'clock, Terry?
The next budget subcommittee?
No, tomorrow's capital meeting.
Oh, it's at, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm
it's at
sorry, I
10.
missed it. What'd you say?
Where's it here?
10 here in this meeting?
This building?
Room 309,
Oh, 309.
training room.
Gary, town meeting is the 15th this year? You know what day it's on?
Of
October.
the fall town meeting?
Yeah.
I'd have to check, I'm not 100% sure. I think it might be October 15th.
I'm sure it's posted.
Second, is it, that the second?
She puts it up for the year.
Second Tuesday?
The second Tuesday, October is the 8th, but why do I have
The 15th's a Monday.
15th
No, wait a
in my
minute.
calendar?
The 15th's a
See if I
Monday.
put it in my calendar.
Yeah, it's a Monday.
I don't know, I forgot.
I'd have to
Well,
look.
I'm away in October for a couple of weeks, I don't know when.
Oh, okay, you won't be there.
No, I'll be, sunny Aruba, Gary.
Let me see.
Hopefully this time my wife won't fall.
Oh,
What's she doing?
goodness, that's right.
I'm giving her a football uniform.
Oh, I didn't put it in here, but I know it's on our town website.
Yeah, it's on the website.
She puts it up for the year. Actually,
You think
probably
it's on
puts
the
it up
town
for a couple
website?
years.
Yeah, it's probably already posted on the website.
Oh, yeah, no, she does.
Just can't get it on there because I don't have Town meeting calendar, here we go.
You're missing that laptop, Gary?
Yeah.
Somebody repossess your laptop? or-
No,
You have to go like 7
That's our budget
in order to find
Got
it.
nothing in October on the town
No, it's tricky when you're searching that website to
Nearly,
find the
it's nearly
calendar.
impossible.
15, yeah.
Ten
October
15, the
15th,
day
at 7.
after, yeah.
It's
The day
October
after the
15th.
holiday, yep, 7 PM.
So I think the first piece of this is the capital.
I did put it.
I'll start at the beginning of August, reaching out to the departments for their requests. And we can, and then go from there. Then we can schedule our meetings. I mean, the budgets, we don't really deal with the budget, so it's any warrant articles.
Do you think we'll start meeting in September? When do you anticipate?
I would say let me see what the schedule looks like. September might be a little too crammed. I think we should probably stop maybe August, maybe second week of August,
Oh, okay.
middle of August, just so we have time. But I'll send out a schedule for everyone to have before we go ahead and,
How many articles do you anticipate?
I haven't heard of any yet. I haven't seen any, so,
Really?
yeah, we'll probably have the standard articles, like if we're moving anything to like stabilization or things like that. We'll have the capital article, and dependent on town meeting. We won't have anything put into the, we might do an OPEB transfer. We did the, if you remember, we did the transfer for the capital, so there won't be another one in the fall. And then there'll be any other articles, if planning has any articles or anything like that, so.
Do we anticipate anything from the charter folks?
What?
Don't
I know
ask me.
sometimes things, are you still on it? Are you still
Well,
meeting?
I am, but
Okay.
they talked about, there were a couple of articles that didn't get resolved in the spring, so they might come up, but I haven't heard anything specific. I know the electronic voting was one of them, that they needed some more information before they presented it. I can't think of any others.
Yeah, I'll start meeting with Chris on the, on any preliminary articles, and then as we start to go into the schedule, I'll be able to brief everyone on what the draft will be.
Yeah.
Gary,
Stop
are
it.
all future town meetings going to be at the high school?
I believe so,
Yeah.
and I think they did that because of security
Yeah,
at
that
the,
makes sense.
at the,
Middle
school,
school.
yeah, yep.
You already made all the decisions, Bob. so-
Okay.
To make
almost ready to
a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn, Bob.
I think you rushed in, huh?
Should have brought some refreshments in there.
So all we did, we just spoke a little bit about the scheduling and then going forward. I don't know if you had anything in particular, Bob, that you wanted to talk about for the fall?
Are the actuals ready for
Yes.
last year?
Yes, we have them already.
Do you have them for the school department? Or
We
they
can,
have separate system?
that's separate. I have all the actuals for the town,
Okay.
which you did pretty well. I didn't have it on the agenda, so I didn't.
Yeah, no, I just, because I'd like to see them.
Yeah, we can forward them. I'll have Donna
Yeah, I like to see them.
forward
I'd
to
like
the
to see the
schools.
school,
So would I.
the school items too.
So would I.
So I'd have to.
They have to be after the
Jim Cal-
15th, because we close the books on the 15th.
Okay,
So I'll
that's
tell
fine.
Donna.
15th of what, August?
July.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah, we've already kind of we have the revenues down. It's just that now we're starting to put everything together for free cash for the
Okay,
DOR.
all right.
So I'll talk to Donna about getting those for the schools.
Okay, I'll call Jim Kiley for the actuals.
Mm.
I'm interested in how much they made in prepayments
Okay.
this
What?
year.
What problem?
Prepayments. They prepay 800,000 a year. So basically, so they don't have any cash, free cash. Which is fine if they do 800,000 every year, but,
Do you, specifically for what, do you know?
I think, they have certain items, he said that they save money by prepaying it, and I think it has to do with, special, students, outside of the Dartmouth school system, amounts that we pay to outside organizations. That's my understanding. So I'm interested to see.
Yeah, that's almost like what we do for the retirement contribution that we pay. If we pay it in 2 lump sums,
Yeah.
we pay more. If we pay it in 1 lump sum, we save about $180,000 a year.
Yeah.
So we give them the
Worth it.
entire amount at the beginning of the,
That's
year.
worth it.
Okay. Is there anything else? You already voted on everything?
We got the
Well, we still
transfer.
have minutes.
We talked
Minute?
about the
Okay.
school budget meetings. We have to resolve who will go to those meetings, because they won't be posted as joint meetings.
Yeah, we also talked about also maybe starting a budget advisory group, as we had talked about a couple of years ago.
Well, combining capital plus.
Yeah, having like a bigger picture.
Long-term, 10-year plus the.
Yeah, budget advisory group, and have member of the school committee, member of the finance committee, select board, in a smaller group where we don't sit in a large room and,
Yeah, yeah,
and maybe get that going for this fiscal year,
yeah.
or for 26. So you have the minutes from the town meeting. We have liaison report, no, anybody-
I have nothing,
I won't be meeting with Council on Aging until probably just before fall town meeting. Right now, they're not discussing anything that has any financial impact. They're going over bylaws and things of that nature that had no financial impact whatsoever.
So we'll make a motion to approve the minutes from town meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from town meeting?
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor, say aye.
I'll abstain, I wasn't there. Abstain.
Aye.
Okay, aye.
Abstain,
Oh,
no.
but then we don't have,
Yeah, we do.
now we do, because you're here.
Yeah, because I'm here.
Everybody else was at the meeting.
Yeah, just to let you know, I did, Adam Silver's expired, his term expired, so I asked Melissa for a replacement.
He's gonna resign anyway.
okay?
Anything else?
You want to talk about you had called me about the contact that Nate Silva. Or are you all set with that?
Yeah, I think I'm all set with that, yeah.
So that's all I
How
have.
you doing?
Good.
Yeah, okay.
We're getting there.
Yeah. Are you a candidate for,
I haven't,
you haven't thrown your hat in the ring?
not yet, I haven't decided
Okay.
if that's some- something I'm thinking about.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Is there I have a question. Is there a committee that's been put together to?
So right now, what they're doing is they're going through a process, of the RFP process, and they're looking at some firms. They've got to go through that, so that's,
Maybe the select board?
yes, so they meet, they're putting out the scope of work, and they're working on that now. So that takes time to get that back, and then decide who they want to go with, and then interview
All right.
that
I
firm,
would-
and
I
then
would
go
like
on.
to, I would like to make a suggestion, somebody on the finance committee, if they haven't already made that suggestion, is part of that
No, I
vetting
think
group.
two organizations submitted proposals, but then a third did. And so when that third came in, they wanted to have equal expectations of all three, and they backed up and said, let's go through and do an RFP that has the same, is that right? The same
Yes,
request?
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
I meant in terms of the hiring and the interviewing process.
I don't think they're even there yet. I think they're just.
Yeah, no, they're still looking for we're still trying to gather information for the
I'm
firm.
putting in a dib that we should be,
Yeah.
somebody in
Why-
FinCom should be part of the hiring
I
process.
think there is a requirement, because.
Per the charter?
For hiring you,
Yeah,
we had Gloria Bancroft, myself, the guy from, I thought it was in the bylaws that they had to,
yeah, I'm not, I'd have to look at I'd have to look at the town
Oh, maybe the
administrator.
bylaws, but I don't think the charter has anything about that.
maybe
Yeah.
the charter, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd have to look who's
I
involved.
think regardless, I think it would be fair to
Yeah,
say that we
yeah.
think somebody from the finance committee should be
Yeah, yeah.
on
That's what I
that
was trying to
committee, and
say.
I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
And I don't care about the RFP particularly, what I care about is the hiring
Yeah,
process.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's, I'm sure they'll do that.
Yeah.
Anything else? Happy summer?
Happy summer.
So when do we start back?
Well, I had said that I'll be sending out requests for the capital,
Yeah,
once we get certified free cash. So we'll have that, at least that done. We'll meet with the departments again, have the capital committee meet with them, go through their list. And then we should probably start meeting in August.
yeah.
I would say beginning to middle of August, so that we get a handle on the warrant articles up front, and we can start discussing those.
Okay,
And
as
then
long as
any
we have
capital
warrant articles, because, you know, it's always been, we don't have the warrant articles, and it's,
Well, we can always talk about budgets
yeah, yeah. Well, we can talk about the actuals, too.
and the actual.
I'd like to, I'm really, you know, as we, you know,
I'd
talk
be
budget,
shocked
budget,
if we had
budget.
budgets.
What's that?
I'd be shocked
Yeah,
if we
that's
had
the budget,
warrant
the
articles
actuals.
in August.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, yeah.
The actuals usually aren't a big surprise, though.
Well, this year, when I put the budget together, I was very conservative on the receipts. So, and we did, the preliminary numbers that we've run are really good. I mean, we'll be able to generate some free cash this year, which is good. I was in fear with inflation and everything else that, you know, we weren't gonna be able to do that, but I have a strong feeling that we will have a good amount for certified free cash,
Nice.
which helps our capital. But because we remain conservative with the receipts.
Is that basically off the economy and that most of the money's coming from what the
Well,
state
no,
takes back?
most of our, so when I say budgeting, I'm talking about local receipts, motor vehicle, real
Local-
estate,
yeah, a
motor
tax
vehicle.
levy?
not
No,
tax
he's talking
levy.
about-
I'm talking about local
what the
receipts,
state-
motor vehicle,
What the state kicks
investment
back.
income,
Yeah.
Oh, that.
because we can't control the tax levy. So most of the free cash that we generate is from local receipts and
Yeah.
turnbacks from the departments.
No, but I thought you were looking at trends from the tax levy too.
Well, the tax levy is only producing the additional 2.5% each year. So, and we have a collection rate of about 99.2%, 3%,
Yeah, but if you
so
have more
most of
people
it.
moving into town, you're obviously got more tax.
That doesn't affect the tax levy. The tax levy
Pay the
is,
same.
the tax levy is capped at 2.5%, so you could have 1,000 more people move in. We can only tax it so amount, at a certain amount. That's the reason why we're in communities like Dartmouth, we can't raise any more than X amount of dollars,
Well, usually, it's-
plus new growth,
new growth is 600,000,
growth
right?
right?
So,
I will say, I know people on this committee are concerned about the strategic plan, and they're hoping to have that ready for September, sometime in September, or to present to the school committee in September. And
The strategic plan from the school.
for the schools, yeah. And the next budget subcommittee meeting is August, does somebody remember off the top, August 5th at
August 5th.
3:30, right?
Yeah.
I'm just not sure where.
The Bush Building, Bush Avenue.
Bush Street.
August 5th.
Now, do we have to reorganize this, or is that not, should I
think-
put that on the,
I think we do it in the fall, yeah.
okay, so I'll put that on the next agenda.
Okay.
And then any
Reorganize this
liaison
committee.
assignments,
What's
any liaison assignments, if, I know we have Phil that's new, Kerry's new,
Carrie.
so if they have interest in some
Yeah.
committees
We
that,
might have a new member replacing Adam, which would be
Yeah.
great. I
Yeah.
know there's one
So-
person that applied.
yeah, so maybe we wait for the new member to be sworn in, and then I'll send out the list for liaisons,
Great.
Okay.
and that's all
Thank
I
you,
have.
Gary. Thanks for getting this stuff out early to us.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah.
great.
Thanks.
The earlier we start, the
Make a
better.
motion to adjourn?
Okay. Terry made a motion to
Second.
adjourn,
Second.
second by Janine. What?
Said I'm Janine.
Yeah, no,
Well, I
that's
was
what I
like, what's your name?
All in favor?
Red.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we're done.
Good.